Have you ever seen a mighty oak tree, one that stood proud and tall for decades, start to wither not because of a storm, but simply because the rain forgot to come? Not all at once, not in the way you could even notice day to day, but slowly, quietly, until one morning it was no longer the tree you remembered. Aging after 80 can be just like that. Not a sudden collapse, not a catastrophe, but a series of tiny, almost invisible changes that steal your strength, your joy, and your spirit, bit by bit. And here's the dangerous part. Most people don't see it happening. Even those who once seemed unstoppable. Even those who took care of themselves, stayed sharp, did everything right. They assume it's just part of getting old. They blame bad luck or bad genes. And they accept the fading because no one told them there were other reasons. Reasons no doctor warns you about. Reasons no birthday card ever mentions. But today we're going to break that silence. Because the truth is, there are invisible traps that almost everyone falls into after 80. Traps that are subtle, easy to miss, but devastating if ignored. Traps that quietly accelerate aging, weaken your body, confuse your mind, and drain your spirit faster than you ever imagined. The good news? Once you see them, you can stop them. Once you understand them, you can protect your vitality, your independence, and your life force, not just for months, but for years to come. And you don't need a miracle cure. You don't need fancy supplements or secret treatments. You just need to recognize these quiet thieves and take back what belongs to you. Stay with me, because what you're about to discover could change not just how long you live, but how fully, how richly, how joyfully you live the years ahead. If you're here with me now, it means you're still searching, hoping, still believing, somewhere deep inside, that the years ahead can hold more than just waiting for the inevitable. And you are absolutely right. This isn't just another video telling you to eat healthy or exercise more. You already know those things. What we're going to uncover together today goes far deeper. It reaches into the hidden corners of everyday life, the tiny habits, the invisible choices, the quiet moments that seem too small to matter, but end up shaping the entire course of your future. You see, aging well after 80 is not about winning some genetic lottery. It's not about being the lucky few. It's about awareness. It's about attention. It's about protecting the small sparks of life inside you before they quietly go out. Today I'm not here to lecture you. I'm not here to overwhelm you with medical jargon or unreachable goals. I'm here to walk beside you as a companion, as someone who sees the battles you fight every morning, the stiffness in your knees, the silence of a phone that rings less often, the fear that maybe your best days are behind you. I see it. So I want you to know, you are not alone. In this journey we're about to take together, you'll discover 5 hidden traps that quietly steal away vitality, purpose, and spirit after 80. More importantly, you'll learn simple, powerful ways to push back, to reclaim your strength, your spark, your place in this world. You'll understand why feeling tired after small errands isn't just normal aging. Why avoiding small risks in the name of caution can sometimes cause more harm than good. Why tiny interactions, the kind you barely notice, are actually lifelines for your brain and heart. And you'll see that it's not too late. Not by a long shot. You have more control than you think. You have more power to change your path, starting with the next breath, the next step, the next sunrise. You don't need to fix everything overnight. You don't need to climb mountains or run marathons. You simply need to see clearly, choose wisely, move gently, but persistently. And as you do, you'll find something incredible waiting for you. more life, more laughter, more mornings filled with meaning, not just survival. So stay with me. Let's walk this path together. Let's uncover the small doors you can open, doors that lead not to decline but to new beginnings, even now, even here. Because no matter what anyone says, your story isn't finished yet. Walter had always been the kind of man who made a neighborhood feel alive. Every morning, like clockwork, he would stroll to the corner cafe, nodding to the same familiar faces. The postman with the crooked smile, the woman who walked 3 little dogs in knitted sweaters, the young man at the counter who always got his coffee extra strong. It wasn't grand, it wasn't planned, but it mattered. Those tiny greetings, those casual smiles, those 5-minute chats over a steaming cup of coffee, they were the threads that wove Walter into the fabric of his community. He didn't think of it as exercise for the mind or soul. It was just life. But life has a way of shifting, sometimes with a bang, and sometimes with a whisper you barely hear until it's already past. One rainy evening, when Walter was 82, he slipped on a slick patch of sidewalk outside his building. He caught himself before falling, just a quick stumble, no injuries, not even a bruise. But the scare stayed with him longer than the rain. The next morning, for the first time in years, Walter hesitated. Instead of putting on his walking shoes, he brewed coffee at home. He told himself it was just for today, the sidewalks would still be wet. Just that. But today turned into tomorrow. Tomorrow into next week. Soon, Walter found excuses easier than lacing his shoes. It's too windy. The cafe would be crowded. His knees felt a little stiff. Better to stay inside. Better to rest. He started ordering groceries online instead of walking to the store. He asked his daughter to pick up his prescriptions instead of taking the bus. He stopped waving at the mailman through the window. Stopped noticing the woman with the dogs. Stopped seeing the young man at the cafe. And something else began to fade too. Something much harder to name. It wasn't obvious at first. A little more tiredness in the mornings. A little more difficulty recalling names. Little more reluctance to call old friends. 6 months after that rainy night, Walter was a man changed. Not because of a disease or an accident, but because of a quiet shrinking that had started inside him long before anyone could see it on the outside. He had lost 10 pounds without trying. His legs, once strong from daily walks, felt weak and unsteady. He moved slower, spoke less, miles rarely, and in the stillness of his small apartment, he began to wonder if maybe the world had simply moved on without him. When his daughter finally sat him down and asked if he was okay, Walter found he couldn't quite explain what had happened. How do you describe the feeling of fading when it doesn't hurt, doesn't bleed, doesn't even scream? It just slips away. Walter's story isn't unique. It's not tragic in a headline-grabbing way, but it's the kind of tragedy that happens every day, slow, invisible, and heartbreakingly preventable. Because what Walter lost wasn't just strength in his legs or names in his memory. He lost the small rituals that told his brain, his heart, and his body, you are still needed, you still belong. He lost the sparks that keep the fire alive. And here's the truth no one tells you. You don't lose those sparks all at once. You lose them, quietly, one missed step, one skipped walk, one unopened door at a time. Until one day you wake up and wonder when you stopped feeling like yourself. But the even greater truth, the one that matters more, is this. And it doesn't have to end there. Because just as the fading happens one small step at a time, so too does the coming back. One hello, one stroll, One handwritten note to a friend you haven't called in months. The spark is still there, waiting, yes, but ready to catch fire again. And today we're going to show you exactly how to find it. Because Walter's story could easily become yours. But it doesn't have to be. When Walter's world grew smaller, it wasn't just a matter of loneliness. Something deeper, more invisible was happening inside his body, inside his brain, inside every system that once quietly kept him strong. You see, our bodies are not machines. They are living symphonies, where every part, from the mind to the muscles, from the immune cells to the heartbeat, relies on delicate rhythms to stay vibrant. And after 80, those rhythms become especially sensitive. They no longer tolerate long periods of silence, stillness, or disconnection without consequences. Modern research, from Harvard, Mayo Clinic, and leading geriatric studies, all confirm what careful eyes have long suspected. Aging isn't just about wear and tear. It's about disorganization. It's about the loss of small, vital signals that tell the body, stay alive, stay alert, stay needed. Let's look more closely. When Walter stopped exchanging smiles with neighbors, when he stopped chatting with the cafe staff, something subtle but powerful began happening in his brain. Tiny neural circuits designed for social interaction, the ones that regulate memory, attention, and even mood, started receiving less stimulation. Less stimulation meant less activity. Less activity meant shrinkage. It wasn't just loneliness, it was biological withdrawal. Neuroscientists have shown that even brief social interactions, like saying hello to a stranger or sharing a laugh at the grocery store, help keep the brain's social wiring alive and responsive. Without these small contacts, the brain interprets the silence as a threat. It triggers stress hormones like cortisol. Over time, elevated cortisol damages memory centers, increases inflammation, and suppresses immune function. In simple terms, less connection equals faster aging, mentally, emotionally, and physically. But it didn't stop there. Walter's fear of falling, though understandable, set off another cascade. He moved less. He sat longer. And in doing so, he began losing something even more crucial than strength: core stability. The core muscles, those deep unseen bands that hold us upright, steady our steps, and allow us to reach, bend, and stand, are not like rocks that stay strong when left untouched. They are more like vines. If they aren't used daily, they don't just stay dormant, they wither. Research from the Mayo Clinic shows that older adults who dramatically reduce their daily movement can lose up to 30% of their core muscle strength in just a few months. And once the core weakens, balance suffers. Wobbling becomes normal. Fear increases. Movement declines even further. It becomes a self-fulfilling spiral. Walter thought he was being careful, but in trying to protect himself, he accidentally signaled to his body, "You're no longer needed for movement." And the body, loyal but literal, responded. Meanwhile, something else even quieter was slipping away: his internal clock. Our circadian rhythm, the 24-hour cycle that governs sleep, energy, immune response, and even metabolism, is heavily influenced by exposure to natural light, especially in the morning. When Walter stopped stepping outside into the sunlight, his body's signals for wakefulness and rest grew confused. He stayed sleepy during the day. He struggled to fall asleep at night. His immune system weakened. His energy dipped. Scientists at the National Institutes of Health have found that irregular light exposure in older adults can accelerate cognitive decline, increase depression risk, and weaken overall biological resilience. It's not just about feeling drowsy. It's about the body losing its sense of time, And without a strong sense of time, every system suffers. Then there's the heaviest layer of all, emotional suppression. After losing so many small joys, and perhaps some deeper griefs he didn't speak aloud, Walter began carrying an invisible weight. A dramatic, oh loud, but real. The heart, the lungs, the gut, they all feel emotional tension, even when the mind insists it's fine. Chronic, low-level emotional suppression triggers sympathetic nervous system activation, the body's fight or flight response, keeping the body in a state of silent stress. Over time, this raises blood pressure, slows digestion, disrupts hormonal balance, and gradually erodes the immune system's strength. When sadness is swallowed instead of shared, it doesn't disappear. It becomes inflammation. It becomes vulnerable. And finally, perhaps most quietly of all, Walter's sense of daily purpose faded. In younger years, purpose can seem grand. Building a career, raising a family, pursuing passions. But after 80, purpose often lives in the small rituals: watering a plant, greeting a neighbor, folding a letter, preparing a simple meal. When those little missions disappear, so does the brain's reason to push forward. Motivation declines. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and grow, slows down. Researchers from Harvard's Aging Brain Institute found that a strong sense of daily purpose, no matter how small, is one of the most powerful predictors of longevity after 80. Without it, the body's repair mechanisms slow. The heart beats less vigorously. The mind drifts. The flame of life doesn't extinguish in a gust of wind. It dwindles because it is no longer fed. Walter's story, and maybe parts of your story, is not about one big mistake. It's about 1,000 tiny moments where life's rhythm started slipping away unnoticed. But here's the part that matters most. Just as disorganization accelerates aging, restoring rhythms can slow it. One conversation, one morning walk in the sun, one small, meaningful task each day. These are not luxuries. They are the medicine, the scaffolding, a spark. Your body is not failing you. Stop waiting for your signal. Waiting for your touch. Waiting for your choice to step back into the dance of life. And the beautiful truth is, it's not too late. It never was. When you look closely, you realize life after 80 doesn't collapse all at once. It tilts, one small shift at a time. And if tiny shifts led us here, then tiny shifts can also lead us back. Let's walk through the hidden traps that Walter and so many others faced, and discover the simple, powerful ways to turn them around. The first trap, the quiet loss of microsocial engagement. It starts innocently enough. One morning, you skip the walk to the store. Another day, you order groceries online instead of chatting with the cashier. You tell yourself, it's just more convenient, more efficient. But underneath the surface, something else is slipping away. Every tiny interaction, every nod to the neighbor, every smile to the barista, every casual good morning to the mailman, feeds your brain vital signals. Signals that reinforce your place in the living world. Signals that keep your social memory networks buzzing, your emotional regulation sharp, your immune system resilient. When those small contacts fade, the brain doesn't stay idle. It rewires itself for isolation. Stress hormones rise. Inflammation grows. Attention and memory begin to fray. And the tragedy is, most people don't even notice until they feel lonelier, duller, smaller, without knowing why. But rebuilding these connections is simpler than you think. You don't need grand parties. You don't need deep conversations with dozens of friends. You need tiny moments. tiny stitches to reweave yourself back into the human fabric. Take a walk to your local cafe even if you don't buy anything. Wave to the man watering his garden across the street. Smile at the young mother struggling with a stroller. Compliment the clerk bagging your groceries. Each small act is a thread, binding you back to life. Walter's friend Mr. John didn't notice how fast isolation crept up on him after 82. He stopped greeting his neighbors, thinking they were too busy. Within a year, his world had shrunk to the size of his living room. His memory weakened. His mood darkened. And the worst part? Thought it was inevitable. But it wasn't. Life flows where attention goes. Reconnect, even in small ways, and your body, your mind, your spirit will begin to feel the tide return. The second trap. Overcautious inactivity. After Walter's small slip, fear took root. And fear, when left unchecked, becomes a prison. It tells you to sit instead of walk, to watch instead of join, to let others move while you stay still. At first it feels wise, but the body interprets stillness not as safety, but as surrender. Muscles shrink, core stability fades, joints stiffen, blood circulation slows. And with every day spent sitting instead of standing, your foundation crumbles a little more. Movement, however small, is the signal your body craves. You don't have to run marathons. You don't even have to walk miles. You just have to move. Stand up from your chair and sit back down, slowly, 5 times a day. Hold onto a counter and rise up onto your toes, then lower back down. Stretch your arms to the ceiling and breathe deeply. Walter's neighbor Sarah also slipped once in her late 70s. Instead of freezing in fear, she started a simple habit, walking slowly back and forth across her living room each morning. 10 steps forward, 10 steps back, day after day. 2 years later, she was still taking her grandkids to the park, steady as ever. Your body doesn't demand perfection. It asks only for participation. The third trap, losing natural light exposure. We live indoors more than ever. Curtains drawn, screens glowing, artificial lights blinking. And somewhere in the quiet hum of electronics, your body's master clock loses its way. Without morning sunlight, the circadian rhythm drifts. Energy dips. Sleep fractures, mood flattens, immunity weakens. Morning light isn't just brightness for the eyes, it's a command to the brain. Wake up, repair. Walter, once a sun-loving man, slowly became a prisoner of his own walls. After missing months of sunlight, he began to wake groggy, nap during the day, and feel restless at night. The solution? Reclaim the morning light. Even 5 minutes on a porch or by a bright window helps. Let your skin and eyes drink in the early sun before the day gets too busy. Helen, an 84-year-old widow, revived her energy simply by spending 10 minutes on her patio every morning with a cup of tea. Her memory sharpened. Her sleep deepened. Her laughter returned. Sunlight is not a luxury. It's life. The fourth trap, suppressing emotional pain. By the time you're 80, your heart has carried more loss than most younger people can imagine. Loss of loved ones. Loss of roles. Loss of places and traditions that once anchored you. And society, perhaps even well-meaning family, often urges you to be strong, move on, stay positive. But stuffing grief away does not dissolve it. It embeds itself deeper into the body. Unspoken sadness becomes inflammation. Hidden anger becomes shallow breathing. Loneliness, when swallowed, becomes a heavy fatigue that no nap can cure. George, a friend of Walter's, lost his wife of 60 years. He smiled politely, attended church, nodded through conversations. But inside, he was drowning, and his health followed soon after. The antidote isn't dramatic displays of sorrow. It's permission. Permission to feel. Permission to remember. Permission to say, even in a whisper, I'm scared. I feel alone. Find a safe outlet. A journal. A trusted friend. A faith leader. A therapist. Because when emotions breathe, the body breathes too. And healing begins not with force, but with honesty. The fifth trap, losing a sense of daily purpose. Purpose doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be world-changing. It can be as small as watering a plant, writing a postcard, feeding the stray cat outside your door, practicing gratitude for one more sunrise. Walter's neighbor Ruth, at 88, lived alone after her children moved across the country. Many assumed she'd become isolated, but every Monday she wrote postcards to shut-ins from her church. Every Thursday, she cooked soup for the shelter. Every afternoon, she waved at the children walking home from school. Tiny actions, huge impact. Her days had shape. Her mind had rhythm. Her heart had reason to keep beating vibrantly. Without purpose, the body withdraws. With even the smallest purpose, it sings. If you feel adrift, don't wait for a grand mission to find you. Create a small one. Today. Right now. A life filled with small meanings adds up to a life fully lived. Your vitality after 80 isn't stolen by one moment of weakness. It's chipped away by small, silent thieves. And now that you can see them clearly, you can stop them. You can reverse course. One smile, one stretch, one ray of morning sun, an honest conversation, one small act of purpose. Every small step you choose today is a giant step back toward life. Somewhere along this journey today, you recognized a small piece of yourself. Maybe you saw a glimpse of your own habits, your own quiet moments of hesitation, your own fears that grew louder with time, not with words, but with silence. And maybe, just maybe, you realized something even deeper. You are not fading because you are broken. You are not disappearing because your spirit has dimmed. You are simply standing at the edge of a choice. A choice to stay in the silent drift or to step back into the current of life. Imagine, for a moment, a river that winds through a long valley. When the river flows freely, it shapes the land. It nourishes the trees, giving life wherever it goes. But if the river is blocked even slightly, it grows stagnant. The water loses its clarity. The plants along its banks wither. And what once was vibrant slowly turns still. Life after 80 is very much like that river. The flow must be maintained. The connections must be refreshed. The currents of movement, light, emotion, and purpose must be allowed to dance, even gently, even slowly. And the most beautiful truth is this: you don't have to summon a storm. You don't have to force a flood of change. All you need is one small current, one gentle stirring, a single act of kindness toward yourself. A morning spent sitting in sunlight. A phone call to someone who misses you more than you know. A walk to the mailbox with a smile ready for whoever you might meet. A hand placed lovingly over your heart as you whisper gratitude for its faithful beating. Small things, tiny ripples. And yet, in time, these ripples become waves. Waves that carry vitality back to your muscles, resilience back to your bones, clarity back to your mind, and laughter back to your days. You are not finished. You are not done growing, or giving, or glowing. You are like the ember buried beneath cold ashes, still alive, still burning, still waiting for the right breath to reignite. One breath, one step, one choice. And that choice begins today. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, not when the perfect moment arrives, because perfect moments never announce themselves. They are made, forged quietly in the tiny, defiant decisions to keep living, fully and deeply, one heartbeat at a time. If your hands tremble when you reach out again, that's okay. If your steps are slower now, that's okay. If your voice cracks when you dare to say, "I miss you," or "I still want more," that's not weakness. That's life roaring back through your veins. The world still needs your stories. It's your wisdom, your laughter in the sunlight, your quiet strength when the wind blows cold. There is no expiration date on mattering. And if you ever doubt it, just remember this. The oldest trees bear the sweetest fruit. The longest rivers carry the richest stories. The embers that survive the longest burn the brightest when the flame returns. Your flame is waiting. Feed it, nurture it, protect it, and above all, believe that it can burn again. Because it can. Because it will. Because you are still here. And there is more life waiting for you than you could ever imagine. If today's journey stirred something inside you, even just a whisper, I invite you to honor that. Maybe it was a memory that surfaced. Maybe it was a flicker of longing. Maybe it was a quiet, stubborn hope you thought had long been buried. Whatever it was, hold on to it. These small awakenings are precious. They are the seeds of a new beginning, no matter your age, no matter your circumstances. If you found even one idea today that made you pause, smile, or think differently about your life, I would love to hear from you. Please share a thought in the comments below. Not for me, but for yourself. Writing it down makes it real. It tells your heart, your mind, your spirit, I'm still listening, I'm still choosing life. Your story, your insight, your small moment of reflection could be the light someone else needs today. You never know whose heart your words might touch. And if you feel called to continue this journey with me, to keep learning, growing, and kindling the ember of life inside you, I warmly invite you to subscribe to this channel. Not because you should, not because anyone is pushing you, but because somewhere, deep inside, you still believe your best days are not behind you. They are still unfolding, quietly, patiently, waiting for your next small, brave step. Together, we can walk this path, so we can share wisdom, strength, and hope. We can remind each other day by day that it is never too late to live fully, to matter deeply, to burn brightly. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing yourself today. Thank you for allowing me the honor of walking beside you, even for a few minutes. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. I can't wait to see what beautiful ripples your life will continue to create. Until next time, keep breathing, keep moving, and above all, keep believing. Because the world is still better with you in it.